All right, hello everyone and a very warm welcome. Today we are jumping right into the principles and practices of management. This is Unit 1, Part 1, and it's basically the foundation for, well, everything you're going to be learning in your BBA program here at CCSU University. So let's get to it.
So, here's what we've got on the agenda for today. First, we're going to build that strong foundation. Then we'll clear up a really common mix-up between two key terms. After that, we'll take a little journey back in time, see where all this stuff even came from. And we'll wrap up by digging into the very first major school of management thought.
First things first, you hear the word management thrown around constantly, right? Good management, bad management. But what does it actually mean? For us, in this course, we need to get super clear on the definition. So at its heart, management isn't a passive thing. It's a very active process. You're basically taking all the pieces of the puzzle, people, money, equipment, you name it, and you're organizing them to reach a specific goal. And see those two crucial words at the end, effectively and efficiently? They sound similar, but they are so different. Effectively means you're doing the right things. You've picked the right goals. Efficiently means you're doing things right. You're using the least amount of resources, time, money, effort to get there. And great management, well, that's about doing both.
And this is what's so fascinating about management. Think about it. This isn't just for some giant, multinational corporation. These same principles apply everywhere, at a hospital, a university, even a local charity. Anywhere you have people working together towards a goal, you need management. And it never stops, right? It's a continuous, always changing process. It's all about making smart decisions and, most importantly, working with people.
Okay, let's tackle something that trips up a lot of students when they're first starting out. The difference between management and administration. You know, in everyday conversation, we kind of use them to mean the same thing. But in the world of business studies, nope. They are two very different concepts. So let's get this straightened out right now.
Okay, so when we talk about administration, I want you to think big picture. Think top level. This is the brain of the operation, really. It's the group that decides where are we going as a company. They set the major goals, they create the overarching policies, they're figuring out the what we need to do, and crucially, why we're doing it.
And this table just lays it all out so clearly. Look at the key difference here. Administration is all about formulating policy. That's the strategic, top-level thinking. It requires those big-picture, conceptual skills. Management, on the other hand, is about executing that policy. It's operational, it's hands-on. It happens at the middle and lower levels, and it requires more technical know-how and, of course, really good people skills. I love this analogy. Administration decides we're going to drive from Delhi to Mumbai. They draw the map and set the budget. Management is the team that actually gets in the car, makes sure it has fuel, navigates the traffic, and gets everyone there safely and on time.
Okay, so we've got our key definitions down. We know what management is, and we know how it's different from administration. But that begs a really big question, doesn't it? Why do we even have to study this stuff? I mean, why did management become a whole field of study? To answer that, we've got to take a step back in time.
And the answer, in two words, is the Industrial Revolution. It changed everything. Before that, think about how things were made. You had small workshops, maybe a master craftsman with a few apprentices. Things were manageable. Then, boom! Suddenly you have these enormous factories sprouting up. We're talking thousands of workers under one roof, deafening machinery, and just unbelievable pressure to produce more, faster. The old ways of doing things, they just completely fell apart. It was chaos. And out of that chaos came a desperate need for a new way of thinking, a systematic, organized approach to work.
And that need, that search for a solution, is what gave birth to the formal study of management. This timeline here gives you a fantastic bird's-eye view of how our thinking has changed over the past 100+ years. You can see how each new idea was often a reaction to the one that came before it. It's a really cool story of evolution. And our story starts right at the beginning, in the late 19th century, with what we call the classical approach.
So let's be really clear about this. The classical approach wasn't just some academic theory. It was the very first serious attempt to solve the chaos we were just talking about. It was all about bringing order, logic, and a scientific mindset to the factory floor.
Now, this classical approach isn't just one single idea. It's really built on three distinct pillars, and each one has a major thinker associated with it. Think of it like this. You've got scientific management, which zooms in on the worker. Then you've got administrative management, which zooms out to look at the manager. And finally, bureaucratic management, which looks at the entire organizational structure. Let's dig into each one.
First up, we have Frederick W. Taylor and his big idea, scientific management.
You'll often hear this called Taylorism. And let me tell you, Taylor was absolutely obsessed with efficiency. He hated waste. He believed that for any job, from shoveling coal to assembling a part, there was one best way to do it. And he was convinced you could find that one best way, not by guessing, but through science. We're talking about him standing there with a stopwatch, timing every single little movement, analyzing every motion, all to shave off seconds and squeeze out every last drop of productivity.
Okay, so if Taylor was zoomed in on the worker with a microscope, our next thinker, Henri Fayol, zoomed out with a telescope. He wasn't as concerned with the person on the assembly line. He was interested in the bigger picture. What do managers actually do? His whole focus was on creating a general theory of management. He came up with key functions like planning, organizing, commanding, and principles that he believed could be taught and applied in any organization, whether it was a factory, an army, or the government.
And our third pillar comes from Max Weber. Now, when you hear the word bureaucracy, you probably think of red tape and slow, frustrating processes, right? But for Weber, bureaucracy was the ideal form of organization. He argued that to be truly efficient, and more importantly, to be fair, an organization shouldn't run on who you know or who you're related to. It should run on clear, written rules and procedures, a clear hierarchy, and promotions, they should be based purely on your skills and your performance. It was a radical idea for its time, a system based on merit, not connections.
All right, so that's the classical school in a nutshell. Let's quickly recap the main takeaways and set the stage for what comes next.
So the most important thing to remember about the classical approach is this. For its time, it was revolutionary. It absolutely worked. It took the chaos of the industrial age and imposed order, structure, and science, leading to incredible gains in productivity. The core idea, the central metaphor, was thinking of an organization as a machine, a perfectly designed, logical machine where every single part, including the human beings, was just a cog engineered for maximum efficiency.
But that leads us to a really big question, doesn't it? What happens when you treat people like they're just parts in a machine? You see, this super rational mechanical view has a massive blind spot. It completely ignores the messy, complicated, wonderful human stuff like motivation, teamwork, and feelings. And that's exactly where we're going next. In part 2, we're going to explore the powerful reaction against the classical school, the behavioral approach, which turned everything on its head and put the focus right back on the people. So, I'll see you there. Thank you.